3 Points of Articulation podcast. Roll review time now, and as for the last couple of episodes, we've been looking at the Mattel Legends series. On to Series 4, but let's have a look back at Series 3. Jono.
Series 3 indeed, and we've got not only the first person to surpass a 9 average overall, but it goes top of the scores so far. So Vader is now top of the league at 9.01. So it's the first person to surpass a 9 in the whole thing. The rest ended up in the 7s, and we've got Mr. Perfect and Bulldog entered the top 10, and the others were below that. So
Justified, I'd say. We'd said it on the last episode, Vader's a very, very good figure. Good bit of detail in there, so good to see that the viewers and listeners agree with our statements on him.
Interesting. So yeah, let's get started. And we're going to start off with Demolition. So we'll go with Axe first. And there he is without the helmet on. Adam, what's your thoughts?
Massive Demolition fan, but even if I wasn't, look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. It is exactly what you want for a figure. It's got the arm gauntlets that come off and wrap around, don't just clip on. It's got the jacket. It's got the Mad Max type suspender things. It's got decent spot designs on the boots and on the old trunks. Facial wise, it is probably the most iconic Axe face paint that I would imagine. I don't know if I'm just imagining that because of the figure or not, but I'd probably say that. The hairline isn't far enough back. No, ignore me on that one. It is far enough back. I always think of Axe as a bit fatter, but I went back and I looked at the clips from kind of Demolition's main era, and it's actually pretty good. It's actually well in scale on that. I think I'm imagining Axe as he got older, because I think they were still wrestling until a few years ago. And obviously the helmet, everyone wants the helmets, whether it's Hasbro, whether it's Jakks, whether it's Mattel. It's a really, really well done figure.
Yeah, I can't argue with any of that. The face paint, as you say, is iconic. It's the face sculpt in itself is really good as well. I think you may have a point where maybe the hairline could be back a little bit, but that's nitpicking. Accessories, absolutely perfect. There's four bits of accessory, or 5 if you include the suspenders or whatever you call them. So there's a lot gone into this figure. It's an iconic look, and the scale's great. Very, very good.
What I'll say about this figure, I think the first sort of Hasbro nostalgia I got from Mattel Elite figures were looking at the Axe and Smash ones. I think if you're someone of either your guys' age or someone of my age that grew up with Hasbro's and you see these on the shelf, you're going to get those nostalgic feels back and you're going to get into collecting again. So I think it was a perfect choice to have these in the line, and they look fantastic in and out the box. So yeah, I can't add to anything you guys have said apart from that, but yeah, just really, really well done figures. They could have cut corners and they didn't.
I think I'm going to ask Jamie what he scores first. We'll see where he goes on this.
9.6.
Interesting.
Very high score, but I don't think I can find a fault with it.
Yeah. Adam?
10.
You've given it 10.
The only thing that I considered was the fact that it didn't come with a belt. But there's enough accessories that it doesn't need to.
Wow. God. This isn't my 10 figure. I'm only going to give
7.
I'd never do it. But, I agree with Jamie. It's a 9.6 is what I've already had wrote down. So this is looking good for Demolition. So let's move on to Smash then.
So like with Axe, I think this is done perfectly. Smash was always my favorite one of the two, only because of the Hasbro one. For me, the Hasbro figure looks a lot better than the Axe one with the Gorilla Press Slam. massive fan of this figure, a massive fan of the Smash. Can I get a close up look at the mustache? I couldn't really.
Well, you know what happens then. I know.
Oh right, because I couldn't really online. I couldn't really get a good view of it. I've never looked close enough for it to. That's good enough.
There isn't really one, because there's a black bit of paint like that. It doesn't really come across as a mustache. It comes across as paint.
Right. Okay. So in that was sort of a deciding factor for me on that one. Because obviously with Smash you can normally see a bit of mustache going through, but apart from that, it's once again a very, very well done figure. Face paint class.
Yeah, I think this is everything that the Axe figure was, plus a little bit more. There's a little bit more detail in the face paint. There's got a tattoo on the side, and then it's not just the exact same body. They've made it bigger, so Smash was a bit bigger. And as Jamie said, I was always a Smash fan over Axe, so Axe was excellent. What's Smash better?
So I do definitely 100% agree there was more to get right on Smash, and they did nail almost all of it. I mixed up my Demolitions earlier. The hairline on Smash was much further back than it actually is. It was also much more thinning than the hair shows. So, I've got to look at all these tiny little things, and it is a tiny little thing. They did really well with the bald spot on the back, but they didn't do quite as well with the front of the hair.
Right. Yeah, I see what you mean. Let's get your score with that being said.
Yeah, 9.5.
Right. Mine's because I think it's better than Axe, I'm going to go 9.8.
I've stuck the same 9.6. Only because, well, basically, I think the mustache could have stood out a little bit more for me. If you look at Smash from back then, I think his mustache was a bit more detail to it. I think that's all they needed. That's what stopped it being a perfect 10 for me. I didn't notice about the hairline.
Yes, well, excellent scores there. You got to think they're gonna.
Well, they're great figures.
Scores. Well, let's see if the next one surpasses. I don't think so. It's not as good. It's George the Animal Steel, which comes with a T-shirt and the mine. Oh, I guess it was. I wasn't really familiar with the character at the time. Adam, do you know anything about George Steele?
I know that he was a heel, and then when he came back, he turned face in his very first match. And then they did a series of vignettes with him, and that's where mine was introduced. Where obviously he's meant to be, it's not PC nowadays, but he was meant to be a bit mentally challenged. And he obviously took a massive connection with this, and the fact that he kept going, mine, didn't even name it because of the mental challenge. That's pretty much all I know. I think wrestling wise, he was very much past his prime by this point. Every match was he was in a lot of tag team matches around this era, and he was in a lot of very short matches, but he was so over with the fans.
All right, well, there's a nice little history lesson on George Steele for you. The few times I have seen, which was WrestleMania 2 against Randy Savage, were pretty poor matches, unfortunately. But he has that look about him where, you can tell he's a character, and bit of chest hair and back hair and things make it complete. Really, you couldn't really go any better with Steele.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, taking the shirt off and showing you the back and things. The only thing I'm massively disappointed with is the fact that they've styled it like a t-shirt. They've styled his actual hair on his back like a t-shirt, which is a bit weird. It's also slightly too thickly done for me. I can see what they've tried to go for, but it's slightly too dark and thick for me.
Should have done what they've done with the Jax figure and have it actual hairy.
So like you dropped a lollipop under the sofa again. I think my first thing with George Steele, I think he was on like a SmackDown Here Comes the Pain or SmackDown vs. Raw on the PS2. That was my first sort of thing I've ever heard of him, really. not someone that I've followed their career massively. I know about mine. I've seen a few of the vignettes. I think the doll's actually really well done. Truth be told, I think it's actually done a good job of that. And George still done a good job with him as well.
Yeah, the fact that it's got movable kind of figure arms really helps.
Yeah, it did put a lot of detail into that. That's pretty cool. Let's have some scores then. I'll go first. Because of the accessories, I've given it a 7.8.
Yeah, it's enough to get it an 8 for me.
Yeah, I'm in the same breath as you two. I went for 8.1 only because the accessories are really good. Mine having movement gives that extra little level for me.
Speaking of that SmackDown, I think it was Here Comes the Pain where they first introduced Legends. George Steele was on it, but also so was Hillbilly Jim. Had a strange set of legends on that game. Yeah.
I think they came out in their carts as well, didn't they? If I'm rightly in that game.
It certainly did.
Yeah, Hillbilly Jim. You see him a few months ago. You see him on the secondary market pop up a bit more often. But a very well done figure. I never really watched some of his older matches. I think the Gimmick Battle Royal was one of the first times I'd ever seen him. Obviously, apart from the game. But all in all, it's a nice little dungarees in there. It's quite a rare accessory to get. I can't think of any other wrestler that came with a dungarees like that, apart from maybe Enzo. But
nope.
Yeah, unique accessory. Good figure.
It's a lovely looking figure. It's a perfect height. It's a perfect build. I mean, underneath the dungarees is quite bland and quite boring, but I'm guessing he was underneath the dungarees. I think Hillbilly Jim, the character, could have been a lot bigger, but he broke his leg around the time of WrestleMania 1, which meant he was out of the storyline. And then I think it took him quite a lot longer than they thought to recover from it. And he had to be like a manager to Uncle Elmer and Cousin Junior, who weren't exactly good wrestlers, which didn't help his career at all. I don't know if you guys have watched his Hall of Fame speech, but you probably haven't finished if you have. But going back to the figure, the face is perfect. The face is really good. I really like the horseshoe accessory. The dungarees are really well made. They're going to last for a long time. The only thing I dislike is the hat, because it will not stay on his head, mine. So it has to be blue tacked on. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, much like the Sheik that we talked about in the other series, we blue tack these on the head so it stays. I remember losing this down the back of a bookcase, so I had it without for quite a while until finally got around to moving things around. So that was a bit of a pain. But yeah, as you said, the dungarees, you make these cloth accessories and sometimes they don't fit so well, and this is quite a nice snug fit. It works well. Scale is excellent.
Got your Velcro on as well.
Sorry?
It's got your Velcro on the top as well, so another added detail.
Yeah, I can't really fault it. I mean, what else are you going to do with the Hillbilly Jim?
Did he manage the Godwins?
He did.
As well for a bit. Yeah, I think that's where I would have first seen him back then. I was a big Godwins fan back then, living in Cornwall.
Don't go messing with the country, boy.
Shall I kick us off?
Yeah.
Surprised, I'm going to give this an 8.3 for Hillbilly Jim. As I say, I like the accessories. I've taken 2 points off since the start of this because of the hat that you guys said, and whereas the hat was wonky. It's one thing I hate is a misfitting hat. As you can tell, this Fantasy Wrestling League one fits really well on me, and that's how I like them. But yeah, I think the accessories are really good. I like the dungarees, the Velcro, perfect, lovely.
So 8.5 for me, 8.5. It's just the hat. That's the only thing that spoils it, but it is quite a biggie.
I kind of can forgive the hat, but I've still went a bit lower than you guys, and I've gone 8.2. Still really good, isn't it?
Even after you dropped the hat down the bookcase?
Well, I got it back.
That's the important thing.
Next up, it's Mr. Wonderful, Paul Ordoff, with his blue attire, blue robe, and
his robot head.
Yeah, strange looking head.
Go on, Jamie. You might as well start with that then.
Yeah, it's a big block old Arnold Schwarzenegger head, isn't it, on him? Obviously, it needed to be made Mr. Wonderful because obviously WrestleMania 1, and obviously he's quite a big name back in the sort of mid to late 80s, wasn't he? Not for me. I missed the whole era for it. The robe looks quite nice, maybe a bit bland, but that's what I've got to say on the figure on the matter, really, apart from his big old Art Attack head. Adam.
I just really like the blue on this figure. I think the blue is really well done. I mean, we spoke before about the Triple H's pants not coming through as they should. I think the blue on this really comes through on this figure. I don't like the head. It does look like Mr. Wonderful, but there's a strange aspect to it, which obviously Jamie's covered. I'm a big fan of the words Mr. Wonderful rather than the number. I don't know why. It might just be a personal thing for me. I just don't like the Mr. Wonderful. It just doesn't register with me. And underneath, it's just a nice plain blue figure. Really nice boots on this one. I don't know why I like them so much, but they've got, a stripe up the back. They've got the heel decorated and the white and the blue on the front. So yeah, decent figure.
They were quite typical boots for the 80s, those. I remember when I used to make the characters on the old wrestling games, and they didn't have these boots, so I'd go through massive lengths to try and create that actual look on a boot to make it look right. As you said, the face looks like like the guy of Art Chat with what Jamie said.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah.
Never thought of that, but that was pretty accurate. The scale's good. I was trying to look behind me to see if I can find the one that was just released in the recent Legends figures to compare, but I can't quite see it. So robe isn't anything special, unfortunately, so it's a bit boring overall. I'm just going to try and find the figure and compare it. What you can discuss.
I will kick us off with the scores for this one for me. The face is a real biggie, a bit more than Hillbilly's hat on this one. So obviously the face needs to be perfect. It's a 7.5 for me.
A bit more generous than me. I've gone for a 6.8, only because the head just looks stretched out a bit. It's just a bit weird.
Yeah, and I've gone for a 6.9, so that general ballpark there. Let's have a look. I've got the new one here. Let's have a look for some comparisons. As you can see, that's the height difference. So they're both standing together there.
The new one's neck looks weird.
Yeah.
It's massive, isn't it? The whole thing's really big compared to the first one. I don't know why, because I think the scaling on this one's really good. He wasn't, that tall. I think it was about 6 foot maybe. But this one's just a giant. Face looks a little bit better because it's got a bit of the 3D printing and stuff on. But it's the same mold overall. Yeah, I thought we'll just have a quick look at that before we moved on to the last one of the series. It's the Ultimate Warrior. This one represents SummerSlam 88, where he won the Intercontinental title. I haven't put it on the figure because, well, I just put it on someone else. Hope to come with it. So yeah,
very bland trunks for Warrior. I think for these, Warrior for me always screams colours. I know obviously you wore this in '88, but if you do a figure or a line like this, it's going to cover like about 5-10 years that this whole figure line is done. Do a more exciting looking Warrior, but based on this compared to the attire, it's a pretty much spot on match. I think I can't see any difference in there.
Was it Rick Rude at 88?
Honky Tonk Man.
Oh, Honky Tonk Man. No, I'm thinking of the wrong one completely.
Did he return?
I quite like this figure because when you see all the other Warrior figures, they're really colourful and they really stand out as far as your eye catches them. Whereas this is like a tale of two cities. You've got the top half that's really dark and really mysterious. And yes, you have got bland trunks, but that goes with that top half. And then the bottom half, it's really nice and orangey and colourful and catches your eye. And I don't know why, but I'm drawn to this figure more than a lot of other Warriors.
It is really accurate for what he wore at the time, and I just have a little issue with the face. I just can't quite see the Warrior in him. Maybe it's the hair, or I don't know. It's just not. It's it's not one of the best Ultimate Warrior figures. As it
Yeah, I
says,
think the face is really bland.
it's accurate, but it's, there's nothing much to it. IC title had to come with it, and scale's good, as it should be with the Warrior, because he's going to have many more figures after this. I believe this was the first Warrior Mattel made. I can't think of one that was made before it.
I think it would have been, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Trying to think of the timeline when this would have been done.
I think it would have come out. The only other one that could have been before is the Defining Moments, which I think probably not. Probably was the first one. This.
Lovely. Well, shall I kick us off with the ratings for our gym?
Yeah, go on.
So before, it's a bit bland for me, but it is depictive of what it's trying to represent. So based off that, it's an 8.2.
Oh, interesting. Go on.
Yeah, again, for me, I'm actually drawn to this Warrior, but you can't, and it is what it is, but they chose that moment, and they chose to have kind of bland trunks, and the facial expression is just wrong for Warrior at the time. You needed more from the face. It would be a 7.7 for me.
Yeah, it's not a bad score. And but I've still gone lower than you guys, as seems to be the trend for the most part. It's a 7.3.
It's Simon Cowell, the Simon Cowell of Retro Review. Yeah.
Well, I give the highest for Smash, so I won there.
Lovely. So then that brings us to a close to the series, unless I've missed one out.
That's all.
That's all. Lovely. So yeah, we've got series 5 will be up next episode. But yeah, series 4 in the bag. Make sure you go onto our Facebook page, leave your review in the comments, and yeah, we'll be back shortly with an unpopular opinion.